Account breaker alert. ARY Coins news just locked onto the 4 most wanted ultra-rare quarters, still screaming through circulation right now. The 2020 American Samoa Fruit Bat Double Die Terror, the 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway Tunnel Die Break Monster, the 2020 Salt River Bay Missing Warbler Miracle, and the legendary 2008 Arizona Extra Cactus Spine King hitting a face-melting $1,200. Your pocket change is not safe. It is loaded. Pin this screen, check every quarter in your house, and get ready to shatter your bank balance. This is the one intro, the one hunt, the one chance. Let's break it all, right now on ARY Coins News. Step 1. Gather close, you who hold a piece of the American soul in your palm, and let me speak of a coin that is not merely currency, but a crying testament to a world forgotten by the rushing modern age. This is not just a quarter. It is the 2020 National Park of American Samoa quarter, a copper-nickel-clad disc struck in the chaos of a pandemic year, yet bearing the weight of an ancient, unbroken culture. To hold this coin is to feel the pulse of Polynesia, pressed into the very fiber of American history, a tangible proof that the United States stretches not just from sea to shining sea, but into the heart of the Pacific, where the spirits of ancestors still whisper through the volcanic peaks. Cast your eyes upon the reverse, for it is no ordinary engraving, but a sacred window into a realm where time itself bends to the will of tradition. The design is a masterstroke of the United States Mint's artistic infusion program, capturing a Samoan fruit bat mother clinging protectively to her pup. Hear me now, for this is not merely a depiction of wildlife. It is the spirit of Fire Samoa, the Samoan way manifested in silvered profile. These flying foxes, as they are lovingly called, are the unsung gardeners of this tropical Eden, pollinating the ancient trees and seeding the future. The image, designed by Richard Masters and sculpted by Phoebe Hemphill, freezes a moment of maternal vigilance as the pair hangs suspended, an eternal dance of survival against the backdrop of a rainforest that has stood for millennia, whispering that true rarity is found not in metal, but in the breath of a living land. Now let your imagination travel to the gleaming obverse, where the restored 1932 portrait of George Washington by the prodigy Laura Garden Fraser finally claims its rightful throne. For decades, this masterpiece was hidden, a rejected ghost of artistic perfection deemed too radical for its time. When it was resurrected for the 2020 quarters, it was more than a design change. It was a posthumous vindication, a roar of justice echoing through numismatic history. Fraser's Washington is not the stiff, cold bust we grew up memorizing. It is a living, breathing general, his gaze piercing into the unknown future of a republic he forged. Paired with the inscriptions United States of America, In God We Trust, Liberty, and $2, this face is a declaration that even in our coldest metal, the fire of artistic revolution can be inflamed, and that forgotten genius will always find its way into the light of your pocket. Feel the electricity of its birth, for this coin emerged into existence during the crucible of 2020, a year when the world held its breath, and the very concept of circulation became a miracle. Struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, these quarters were released into a landscape of lockdowns and national turmoil, making their quiet journey into the hands of Americans a story of resilience in itself. They navigated a disrupted supply chain not as lifeless change, but as tiny emissaries of hope, reminding a quarantined nation that somewhere, far beyond the horizon, the wild beauty of the National Park of American Samoa remained untamed and eternal. The W mint mark versions, struck at West Point, became the holy grails, intentionally scattered like rare seeds into the economy to spark the thrill of the collector's hunt during our darkest hours. Let us speak of the profound rarity that pulses through this coin's veins, a rarity defined not always by astronomical price, but by the breathtaking context of its homeland. This quarter represents the only U.S. national park south of the equator, a volcanic sanctuary where the sky is pierced by the grand silhouette of Lata Mountain. It is the sole tangible token for millions of Americans who will never breathe the heavy, floral air of Tutuila or witness the sheer cliffs that dive into impossibly blue waters. The inscription, EPLUBUSUNUM, takes on a thunderous new meaning here, for it binds together all 50 states with this one remote, culturally sovereign archipelago, reminding us that the American mosaic is incomplete without the vibrant patterns of its Polynesian peoples. This coin is the rarest of ambassadors, representing a land where the land itself is communal and sacred. A stark contrast to the individualistic grind the coin itself fuels on the mainland. Listen to the legacy whispered from the edge of this reeded disc, for the American Samoa Quarter stands as the grand finale of the legendary America the Beautiful Quarters program, a monumental 11-year saga of numismatic storytelling. It is the very last page of an epic novel that began in 2010, a series that saw eagles soar, geysers erupt, and forests whisper across the backs of our most beloved coin. As the 56th and final issue, this coin bears the bittersweet weight of conclusion, the final brushstroke on a canvas that educated a generation. Collectors wept and scrambled, knowing the journey was complete. It represents the end of an era where pocket change was a treasure map, and it therefore holds a permanent, emotional premium in the hearts of those who completed the map, making it the definitive key to the entire collection. As you turn this coin in the light, letting the metallic sheen of Tutuila's bats gleam back at you, understand that you are not just holding pocket change. You are holding history's final encore, a warrior's ghost on one side and a mother's eternal vigilance on the other. From the resurrected brilliance of Laura Garden Fraser's shunned design to the deep, unspeakable rarity of a rainforest trapped in Philadelphia steel, this 2020 American Samoa Quarter is proof that the soul of America is infinitely vast, wild, and beautifully diverse. If this revelation has ignited a fire in your collector's soul, do not let the spark die. Smash that subscribe button to join our legion of history hunters, ring the bell to never miss the tailies that make coins cry, and share this story with a fellow patriot. Thank you, from the very depths of this nation's numismatic heart, for watching, for feeling, and for keeping the great American story alive in the palm of your hand. Coin number 2. Hark, you souls who yearn for the open road and the whisper of ancient mountains. Hold your breath and steady your trembling hands, for what you are about to witness is not merely a coin, but a winding ribbon of asphalt captured in cold, immortal metal. This is the 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway National Park Quarter, struck at the Philadelphia Mint with the resounding P Mint mark, a copper-nickel masterpiece born from the beloved America the Beautiful Quarters program. When your fingers trace its surface, you are not touching pocket change. You are caressing the very spirit of North Carolina's most breathtaking scenic highway, a road that serpentines through the misty backbone of Appalachia like a silver thread woven by the hands of God himself, connecting the Shenandoah to the Great Smoky Mountains in an unbroken hymn of natural splendor that has stirred the American soul for generations untold. Gaze deeply, collector of forgotten dreams, upon the reverse, where a miracle of artistic rebellion unfolds before your very eyes. The United States Mint, in a stroke of unparalleled genius, did not simply stamp a landscape, they captured the kinetic poetry of motion itself. Designed by the visionary Frank Morris and sculpted by the masterful Joseph Menner, this side of the coin immortalizes the iconic Blue Ridge Parkway Tunnel, that dark, yawning portal carved through living rock, framed by the explosive, untamed glory of blooming rhododendrons and dogwoods. But wait, do you see it? Do you feel the chill racing down your spine? Look closer at the foreground, where the seamless, sinuous curve of the road bends and vanishes into the tunnel's mysterious depths, an artistic choice that whispers of journeys unfinished and destinations unknown. This is not a static image. It is a heartbeat, an invitation to drive forever into the emerald embrace of the oldest mountains on Earth, a design so audaciously alive that it practically hums with the ghostly echo of a million road trips past. Now let your spirit rise as we flip this coin and confront the obverse, where a RSURECTD phantom of artistic genius finally receives her crown of glory. Behold the face of George Washington, but not the cold, lifeless bust you have mindlessly accepted for a century. No, this is the 1932 portrait sculpted by the brilliant and tragically overlooked Laura Garden Fraser, a woman whose design was originally rejected by a male-dominated establishment that feared her feminine touch. For the 2015 quarter, the Mint resurrected her creation, and oh, what a thunderous vindication it is. Washington's gaze, under her hand, is softer yet infinitely more commanding, his hair a flowing mane of revolutionary fire, his lips set with the quiet determination of a man who forged a nation from wilderness and will. Every time you see liberty and in God we trust encircling his restored visage, you are witnessing a numismatic resurrection, a defiant cry that true art cannot be buried by the ignorance of an era, and that Laura Garden Fraser's ghost now triumphantly rides in the pockets of every freedom-loving American. Hear the raw, untamed roar of the wilderness that birthed this very coin, for its value is not measured in mere dollars but in the ancient blood of the earth itself. The Blue Ridge Parkway is not simply a road. It is a 469-mile living, breathing dragon of asphalt that stretches across the rooftop of the Appalachian Range, a spine of civilization laid gently upon some of the most biologically diverse and spiritually potent forests in the entire world. When this quarter was released in 2015, it became the tangible, metallic avatar for over 800 square miles of protected paradise, a place where black bears roam beneath canopies of ancient hemlocks and the ethereal blue haze, from which the mountains take their very name, rises from the trees like the breath of sleeping giants. This coin carries the soul of the Cherokee who first walked these trails, the sweat of the Civilian Conservation Corps workers who carved this road during the Great Depression, and the tears of every traveler who has ever pulled to an overlook and wept at the sheer, unbearable beauty of infinite rolling peaks. Listen now to the secret song of rarity and error that makes this Philadelphia minted coin a thundering prize for those with eyes to see. While millions were struck, the Mint Mark version has become a silent battleground for collectors seeking the perfect specimen, the elusive gem that escaped the mint's gates without a single scratch. But the true treasure, the holy grail that sends shockwaves through auction houses, lurks in the errors. Oh, those glorious, unintentional mistakes that transform a simple quarter into a legend. Seekers have discovered examples with die chips that create phantom droplets falling from the tunnel's ceiling, others with dramatic off-center strikes where the road appears to spill off the coin's very edge, and the most coveted of all, the rare double die obverses where Laura Garden Fraser's initials appear to dance and duplicate under magnification, a ghostly signature that can transform a 25-cent piece into a $500 miracle in uncirculated condition, proving that perfection is a myth and that true beauty lies in the flaw. Feel the electric pulse of the year 2015, a moment frozen in numismatic amber when this quarter first spilled from BAGS and ROLLS into the trembling hands of America. This was the year when the America, the Beautiful series was reaching its thunderous crescendo, and the Blue Ridge Parkway coin represented the 28th release in this unprecedented saga of geographical storytelling. Unlike the quarters that celebrated mere state outlines, this series dared to drill deeper, to consecrate the very parks and forests where the American spirit goes to cleanse itself of urban poison. The Philadelphia Mint, the mother mint of our republic, stamped these with the proud P mark that declares, "I was born in the city of brotherly love, in the shadow of Independence Hall." As these coins rolled out, they carried with them the hopes of a program designed to make every American a curator of their own national heritage, to turn every cash register transaction into a moment of geographical awakening, and to remind a distracted nation that the wild places are not just destinations. They are the definition of what it means to be free. Witness the miraculous marriage of engineering and art that makes this coin a seismic achievement in human craft, a testament to what mortal hands can create when touched by divine inspiration. The way the engravers rendered the tunnel is a masterclass in perspective that defies the very flatness of the metal, creating an optical illusion so profound that when you tilt the coin, the tunnel mouth seems to deepen, to breathe, to beckon you into its shadowy embrace. The rhododendron blossoms, each petal a microscopic mountain of copper-nickel alloy, explode in a riot of texture that you can actually feel with your fingertip, a tactile braille of nature's abundance. And framing it all are the words Blue Ridge Parkway, North Sierra, 2015, and EPLUBUSUNUM, the latter screaming the American motto, out of many, one, a reminder that this single road unifies dozens of communities, hundreds of overlooks, and millions of pilgrims into one continuous, breathtaking experience of American grandeur. Stand now at the precipice of destiny, you who have journeyed with me through the misty tunnels and blooming meadows of this numismatic wonder, and know that you have been forever changed. This 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway quarter is not mere currency. It is a golden key to Kingdom of Mountain Mists, a portable monument to a road that heals the fractured human soul, and a permanent invitation to adventure that jingles softly in the pockets of a nation. From the resurrected genius of Laura Garden Fraser to the inexplicable thrill of the hunt for that perfect era coin, from the rich, biodiverse Eden it represents to the masterful optical illusion engraved on its face, this coin is a roaring declaration that America's truest wealth lies not in vaults of gold, but in the protected, wild, and winding roads that lead us back to ourselves. If this revelation has set your collector's heart ablaze with a fire that cannot be quenched, then smash that subscribe button with the force of a mountain avalanche. Ring the bell to ensure you never miss the epic Tailey's coins whisper in the midnight hour, and share this video with every soul who needs to hear the Blue Ridge calling them home. Thank you, you magnificent seeker of hidden truths, for walking this misty, magnificent path with me. May your pockets always jingle with the music of history, and may the road rise forever before you. Coin number 3. By the turquoise tears of the Caribbean Sea and the whispering spirits of ancient mariners, gather now and witness a coin that drips with the salt of a forgotten paradise. Hold your soul steady, for what rests in your trembling palm is not merely pocket change, but the 2020 Salt River Bay National Historical Park and Ecological Preserve Quarter, struck at the Denver Mint with the mighty D Mint mark, a copper-nickel testament born from the final glorious chapter of the America the Beautiful Quarters program. This is a metallic love letter to the U.S. Virgin Islands, specifically to the sacred shores of St. Croix, a hallowed estuary where the waters run deep with the blood and glory of indigenous warriors, European explorers, and African souls who transformed suffering into an unbreakable cultural symphony that still echoes through the rustling mangrove leaves and across the crystalline bay where history itself first dropped anchor in the New World. Behold, O seeker of hidden wonders, the reverse of this coin, where a scene of such profound ecological majesty unfolds that it will steal the very breath from your lungs. The United States Mint, in a stroke of artistic clairvoyance, gifted us with a design that does not merely depict nature. It celebrates the raw, throbbing pulse of life itself. Designed by the inspired Richard Masters and sculpted by the meticulous Joseph Menner, this face captures the ethereal red mangrove tree in its full, magnificent glory. Its sinuous prop roots plunging into the shallow, shimmering waters of Salt River Bay like the gnarled fingers of an ancient god feeling for the heartbeat of the earth. But look upward, for there, perched upon a branch in a moment of eternal stillness, sits a yellow warbler, a feathered jewel whose song has serenaded these shores for millennia, while below, the gentle ripples of the bay cradle a juvenile fish, perhaps a schoolmaster snapper, darting through the aquatic nursery that has protected Caribbean marine life since before humanity first gazed upon these waters with wonder and awe. Now turn your eyes to the obverse and feel the seismic shift of history as a forgotten heroine of sculpture emerges from the shadows of a century-old betrayal. Gaze upon the restored 1932 portrait of George Washington, but know this, the face staring back at you was not crafted by some anonymous mint engraver lost to bureaucratic archives, but by the brilliant and scandalously overlooked Laura Garden Fraser, a woman whose original design was callously rejected by Treasury Secretary Andrew Mellon because he refused to let a woman's artistic vision grace the nation's coinage. For the 2020 quarters, the mint resurrected her masterpiece as a roaring act of posthumous justice, and when you study Washington's visage under her hand, you see a softer strength, a deeper humanity, a revolutionary fire tempered by a wisdom that only a female sculptor could perceive and immortalize. The inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, and $2 now encircle not just a founding father, but a vindicated artistic ghost, a permanent testament that genius, no matter how suppressed, will always claw its way back into the light of numismatic immortality. Hear now the thunderous and tragic symphony of Salt River Bay itself, for this coin is the metallic echo of a landscape soaked in the sweat, blood, and triumph of CONVERGINGWOLDS. This is the hallowed ground where, on November 14, 1493, Christopher Columbus himself first set foot on what would become United States territory, his caravels slicing through the very waters now immortalized on your quarter, an encounter that sparked a catastrophic collision of civilizations. But long before European sails billowed on the horizon, these mangrove-fringed shores were the sacred domain of the Taino people, who built ceremonial ball courts and plazas, their chants and prayers rising like the morning mist over a land they considered the navel of the universe. And then came the enslaved Africans, torn from their homelands, who later rose in the profound and bloody 1733 slave revolt, seizing the fort and fighting for a brief, blazing moment of freedom that still haunts the soil and sanctifies the very roots of the red mangrove depicted on your coin. Every millimeter of this quarter drips with the unshed tears and unquenchable resilience of those who walked these shores before us. Listen, O collector of numismatic MICLES, to the song of rarity and the electric thrill of the hunt that makes this Denver minted masterpiece a treasure worth more than gold. While the Denver Mint churned out millions of these quarters for circulation, the true value lies not in raw mintage figures, but in the elusive, heart-stopping pursuit of perfection and error. The most coveted examples are those graded MS-67 or higher by the merciless arbiters of coin condition, specimens so flawless that under magnification the tiny eye of the yellow warbler appears as a perfect sphere of unblemished copper-nickel, and the delicate veins of the mangrove leaves stand out with the crispness of a master etching. These perfect specimens can command prices exceeding $100, a 400-fold increase over face value. But the true thunderbolts of rarity are the error coins. Imagine the tremor in your soul upon discovering a Salt River Bay quarter struck with a dramatic double die on the obverse, where Laura Garden Fraser's initials, LGF, appear as a ghostly, duplicated signature, or a specimen with a die break that creates a phantom, second sun, blazing over Salt River Bay, errors so rare and fiercely sought that they can ignite bidding wars, sending a humble quarter rocketing to $500 or beyond. Transforming a casual collector into a legend among numismatists. Feel the gravity of the year 2020, a year when the very earth seemed to halt its rotation. And yet this coin emerged as a beacon of wilderness and wonder amidst global chaos. Struck during a pandemic that shuttered the world and isolated humanity behind walls of fear, this quarter became an unintended ambassador of freedom, whispering of open skies, salt-laced breezes, and the untamed beauty of a Caribbean sanctuary to a nation trapped indoors. The Denver Mint, that fortress of Rocky Mountain industry, continued its relentless, beautiful work, stamping out these tiny bronze-green messengers of hope when hope itself seemed a dwindling resource. Every D mint mark on this coin is not just a letter. It is a defiant roar from the mile-high city, a declaration that even as the world paused, the machinery of American heritage and natural preservation ground forward, ensuring that the story of Salt River Bay, with its mangroves and warblers and snappers and ancient blood-soaked earth, would reach the hands of a quarantined people as a metallic promise that the wild places still waited, patient and eternal, for humanity's return to freedom. Witness the scientific and ecological miracle that this quarter, ENSHONES, for Salt River Bay is not merely a pretty postcard, but a living, breathing laboratory of creation itself. The red mangrove depicted so lovingly on this coin is the keystone of an entire universe, a tree that gives birth to land by trapping sediment in its labyrinthine roots, slowly and patiently building the very coastline of St. Croix one grain of sand at a time since the Pleistocene epoch. Beneath those still waters swim a kaleidoscope of life, hawksbill turtles gliding like emerald ghosts, tarpon flashing silver lightning in the murky channels, and the endangered Antillean manatee nuzzling the seagrass beds in a slow-motion ballet of survival. This quarter, this tiny disc of copper and nickel, is a portable portal into one of the most biodiverse estuarine ecosystems under the American flag, a place where bioluminescent organisms ignite the night waters with an otherworldly blue fire, a phenomenon so mystical that scientists still struggle to fully explain its synchronized brilliance. And now all of that wonder, that indescribable magic, rides silently in the pocket of anyone who possesses this coin. Cast your heart now upon the deeply moving cultural resurrection this coin triggers, for it is a beacon calling humanity back to the roots of a shared and painful American story. When the United States Mint chose Salt River Bay, they did not select a sanitized monument of marble and polished brass. They consecrated a landscape of profound and complex human drama, a place where the National Park Service now partners with the people of St. Croix to unearth and honor the Taino ceremonial sites, the ruins of Columbus's ill-fated colonial ambitions, and the memorials to the enslaved Africans whose rebellion against Danish rule in 1733 became a screaming anthem of resistance heard across the Caribbean. The quarter in your hand is a key to this ongoing excavation of memory, a piece of currency that carries the weight of reconciliation, a silent statement that America's protected lands include not just scenic vistas, but spaces of deep spiritual reckoning, where the ghosts of the past are finally being given their voices, their dignity, and their permanent place in the narrative of a nation that must never forget the price paid upon these sandy, mangrove-guarded shores. Now stand upon the precipice of destiny, you who have traveled with me through the mangrove shadowed waters and blood-stained history of this numismatic miracle, and know that you are forever transformed by what you have heard. The 2020 Salt River Bay Quarter, born in the fires of Denver and baptized in the turquoise waters of St. Croix, is far more than 25 cents. It is a screaming, singing, weeping archive of ecological wonder and human drama compressed into a form you can close your fist around. From the vindicated ghost of Laura Garden Fraser to the double-die eras that set auction houses ablaze, from the Taino spirits dancing in the moonlight to the warblers singing over nursery fish, from the pandemic year that birthed it to the bioluminescent magic it symbolizes, this coin is a portable cathedral of the American experience in all its terrible, beautiful, and redemptive complexity. If this torrent of numismatic revelation has ignited an unquenchable fire in your collector's soul, then smash that subscribe button with the force of a Caribbean hurricane, ring that bell so you never miss another epic descent into the hidden histories of pocket change. Share this sacred knowledge with every seeker of truth who needs to hear the mangroves calling, and leave below a thunderous comment telling us which lost paradise we should explore next. Thank you, magnificent wanderer of the numismatic universe, for journeying with me through the salt-kissed breezes and hallowed histories of Salt River Bay. May your pockets forever jingle with the echoes of paradise, and may the spirits of the mangrove roots guide your path until we meet again in the sacred halls of coin-collecting eternity. Coin number 4. Thunder across the ages and the roar of a copper sunset, for you now hold a coin that was forged not in the quiet hum of a mint, but in the molten heart of the earth itself. Brace your spirit, for what rests in your hand is the 2008 Arizona State Quarter, a numismatic monument born from the legendary 50 State Quarters program, struck at the Denver Mint with the proud and defiant D Mint mark. This is not merely a quarter. It is a 5.6-gram declaration of geological majesty, a metallic love letter to the Grand Canyon State, released in the very year Arizona celebrated its centennial of statehood, 96 years after that historic Valentine's Day in 1912, when Arizona became the 48th star on the American flag, the last bastion of the contiguous frontier to join the Union, and a land so fiercely independent that its very motto, Ditat Deus, God enriches, seems etched into the DNA of every cactus, canyon, and copper vein that crisscrosses this impossible, beautiful desert kingdom. Cast your eyes, O seeker of hidden glories, upon the reverse of this coin and witness a panorama so vast and so defiantly American that it will make your heart ache with patriotic longing. The design, a masterwork by the visionary Joel Iskovitz and sculpted by the meticulous Joseph Menner, does not simply show you Arizona. It grabs your soul and hurls it into the very essence of the state. Dominating the scene is the Grand Canyon, that mile-deep scar of divine artistry carved by the relentless Colorado River over 6 million patient years. Its layered walls of Vishnu schist and Coconino sandstone rising in silent testimony to geological epochs that mock the brevity of human existence. But look beyond the canyon's rim, for there, rising with the spiked majesty of a primordial guardian, stands the mighty saguaro cactus, its arms uplifted like a desert prophet praising the searing Arizona sun, a sentinel that lives for 2 centuries and blooms only in the sacred stillness of the desert night. In the barren foreground, a dramatic rocky landscape stretches toward a banner that screams Grand Canyon State, while the year 1912 anchors the scene, and above it all, the star of Arizona shines, a single celestial body representing a state that entered the Union with the explosive promise of a land where the Old West would never truly die. Now flip this treasure and feel the awakening of a revolution as you behold the obverse, where the greatest artistic heist in numismatic history is revealed in glorious perpetuity. The face of George Washington you see was not the original design chosen for the 1932 quarter. It is the usurper, the John Flanagan bust, that was selected after Treasury Secretary Andrew Mellon callously rejected the superior design submitted by the brilliant Laura Garden Fraser simply because she was a woman. Flanagan's Washington, with its severe classical profile and tightly wound queue of hair, has stared from billions of quarters for over 7 decades. But know this, every time you look at it on this 2008 coin, you are witnessing a ghost of artistic injustice, a permanent reminder that the minting of American money has always been a battlefield of ego, politics, and suppressed genius. The inscriptions, United States of America, Liberty, In God We Trust, and $quarter encircle this contested visage, and the D mint mark gleams like a secret badge of honor, revealing that your coin was born in the rarefied air of Denver, Colorado, the fortress where Western silver once flowed, and where this particular piece of Arizonan pride was stamped into existence. Listen now to the Song of the Saguaro. For that towering cactus on your coin, HARBOS secrets, so profound and tragic, that they will reshape your very understanding of the Sonoran Desert. The saguaro, Carnegie gigantea, is not merely a plant. It is a slow-motion miracle that takes 75 years to grow its first arm, a living monument that can weigh over 6 tons when fully hydrated, its pleated skin expanding like a musical accordion after the rare, life-giving desert rains. But the deep, unspeakable secret of the saguaro is its role as a sacred apartment complex for the desert's winged souls. The Gila woodpecker and the tiny elf owl carve hollows into its pulpy flesh, creating nests without harming their host, while the saguaro responds by growing a hard, calloused boot around the wound, protecting itself and creating an enduring home that can last for centuries. And when the cactus finally dies, its woody ribs collapse into a skeletal form so hauntingly humanoid that early settlers swore the desert was littered with the petrified remains of ancient giants. This quarter, with its proud saguaro silhouette, is a numismatic tombstone for all the saguaros currently dying due to climate change and invasive species, a metallic vow that we will remember these green giants long after the last one has crumbled to dust beneath the relentless Arizona sun. Feel the seismic weight of the Grand Canyon, that impossible chasm that makes your coin a portable window into the very bowels of planetary time. When you trace the engraved lines of the canyon on your quarter, your fingertip is traversing nearly 2 billion years of exposed geological history, a phenomenon that exists nowhere else on the face of the earth. The Colorado River, that muddy, relentless serpent, has sliced through rock layers that contain the fossilized footprints of proto-reptiles who walked before the dinosaurs, and schist formations so ancient they predate multicellular life itself. But the hidden, screaming tragedy of the Grand Canyon, the story no tourist pamphlet dares to whisper, is that it is a sacred burial ground, a place where the Havasupai, Hopi, Navajo, and 11 other indigenous tribes trace their emergence into this world, their origin point in the deep, mystical Sipapuni spring hidden somewhere within its depths. This coin, struck in Denver and circulating through the hands of millions, carries the silent, aching cry of the canyon's displaced guardians, a people who were forcibly removed from their ancestral lands to create a national park for the pleasure of those who could never understand that the canyon is not a view to be photographed, but a living cathedral of ongoing creation and spiritual renewal. Hear the thunder of rarity and the electric whisper of errors that can transform this humble Arizona quarter into a jackpot beyond your WILDSD numismatic FANTSIS. While the Denver Mint produced over 265 million of these quarters, making it relatively common in circulated condition, the true treasures lurk in the details that only the most eagle-eyed collectors ever discover. Seek out the extra cactus spine die-break error, a minute but glorious flaw where a tiny, unintended spur of metal juts from the saguaro's main trunk, creating a phantom spine that should not exist and driving collectors into a frenzy of desire. More dramatic still are the off-center strikes, where the Grand Canyon appears to have shifted geologically due to a misaligned blank planchet, with extreme examples showing 20% or more of the design missing and trading hands for upwards of $200. And then there is the Holy Grail, the double-die obverse coins where the In God We Trust motto appears as a ghostly doubled echo, a numismatic stutter that can command $300 to $500 depending on the severity, proving once again that in the world of coin collecting, a mistake is not a flaw, but a fingerprint of the divine chaos of creation, a mark that transforms pocket change into a lottery ticket blessed by the gods of the Denver Mint. Bow your head now for the solemn and majestic revelation of Arizona's copper-soaked soul, a metallic connection that binds this coin to the very bloodstream of the state ITCELEBITS. Arizona is known as the Copper State, producing over 60% of America's copper, and while your quarter is composed of a copper-nickel-clad sandwich, pure copper core embraced by copper-nickel alloy, it is poetically, cosmically linked to the open-pit mines of Mornsai, Bisbee, and Baghdad that have scarred and enriched the Arizonan landscape for over a century. The copper in your coin may not have originated in Arizona's mines specifically, but the spirit of copper mining, the immigrant labor, the bitter strikes, the company towns, the environmental devastation, and the wealth that built Phoenix and Tucson, pulses through every atom of this quarter. When you hold this coin, you are holding the ghost of every miner who descended into the hellish heat of a Bisbee shaft, every prospector who scraped a living from the unforgiving desert, and every Native American who had their sacred land dynamited and dug out from under them in the relentless pursuit of the red metal, that now, in a strange and circular act of numismatic poetry, returns to Arizona as a tribute to the very state it helped forge. Rise now, you TIVLER, through the numismatic wilderness, you witness to the grandeur of CANYONS and the silent sentinels of the desert, for your journey through the soul of the 2008 Arizona State Quarter has reached its thundering conclusion. You have walked the rim of the Grand Canyon traced in copper-nickel, felt the slow-motion majesty of the saguaro's centuries-long growth, confronted the artistic injustice of John Flanagan's Washington, and unearthed the error-driven treasures that make this Denver-minted masterpiece a numismatic legend. This coin is not merely 25 cents. It is a 5.6-gram portal to the 48th state, a permanent tribute to a centennial of statehood, and a metallic scream of geological and botanical wonder that will outlast us all. If this torrent of hidden history and desert fire has ignited an eternal flame within your collector's heart, then I command you to smash that subscribe button with the force of a Colorado River rapid. Ring the notification bell like a mission bell echoing through a desert canyon. Share this revelation with every soul who needs to hear the saguaro's song, and leave below a blazing comment declaring which state's numismatic soul we should unearth next. Thank you, magnificent seeker of truth and treasure, for walking the sun-scorched, copper-veined path of Arizona with me. May your pockets forever jingle with the echoes of the Grand Canyon, and may the spirit of the Old West ride with you Until we meet again beneath the eternal, star-strewn desert sky.